Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my glass studio. In this video, I'd like to share with you how to identify when you have a successful full fuse, tack, and slump. Now, when you're doing these different techniques in your studio, an important aspect of firing your own glass is to get a relationship, build a relationship with your kiln. And that way you can repeat your successes and avoid things that don't go the way you planned or the way you wanted. So what I thought I would do is share with you how to identify when you are successful, because sometimes it can be a little confusing. So let's talk about a full fuse first. This is an example of a full fuse project. This is little Hoot the owl. Isn't he so cute? And he's in a little nighttime scene there with a moon and everything and a deep dark sky and everything, so just beautiful. So we know that this is a good firing because we've retained, this was about an 8-inch square when it went in the kiln. We've retained our 8-inch size. Let me grab a tape measure and show you. Hold on, got one over here somewhere. No, I don't. Hold on. Coming back. Coming back. My tape measure's disappeared. Oh, here it is. Of course, it was right on the table, and it blended right in because it's a tape measure, like everything else. All right, so let's see. This is a 8-inch square, and look at that. We've retained our size. Here, I'll go this way so you can, the tape measure's in the right direction for you. Look at that, how nicely we retained our size in this direction, and we retained our size in that direction. And if you look at this from the back, sometimes it's easier to look at the back side. We have a really nice shape, really nice square, consistent shape. The only place we got a little bit of bump is where a design detail maybe comes near the edge right here, this big chunk of frit right there. So this would be considered a good firing because we retained our size and shape. We have a beautiful rounded edge, which they call a shoulder, a nice rounded shoulder here. If you look at it from the side, you can see that the pieces have melted completely together. The bottom layer, which is white, the top layer, which is this steel blue, have melted together and given us a really beautiful edge quality. So we know this is a really nice, successful full fuse. Now, if it's not a successful full fuse, what does that look like? That might look like, if it's underfired, the edges might be more square instead of rounded. Some of your design details will not be completely melted into the surface, so you'll have more texture. If it's overfired, it'll tend to grow, and things will start to spread and smear, and you will lose things like the nice shape of the moon. Instead of having this nice crisp outline shape, it might be kind of blurry, like when you take a Sharpie and write on newsprint paper, how it kind of blurs. It would kind of start getting that unclear edge. You also might lose the detail in like the eyes and the beak. Areas where you previously would have had really strong line quality, you'll lose that line quality when it's overfired. What's happening when it's overfired is those design details are spreading thinner. And so when that happens, they become larger, they sometimes lose their edge quality, and sometimes in a situation like this, having a larger beak or larger eyes might have made the project a little distorted. The actual subject matter a little distorted and different than what we really wanted. So you control the type and the success of your firing with your temperature. So when you're working in your kiln, if you have these results that are slightly underfired, overfired, you want to adjust the temperature of your kiln. If it's underfired, you increase the temperature a little bit. If it's overfired, decrease the temperature a little bit. The other thing you can change is the hold, how long you're holding the glass at that target or top temperature. I call it a target temperature. It's also called a process temperature. In this case, for System 96 glass, the target temperature is 1465 degrees. So, and I hold there for 10 minutes. Now, if I wanted to adjust that, I would either increase the temperature 5 degrees or 10 degrees. If I wanted to lower it, I would decrease the temperature 5 or 10 degrees, or I would change my hold time from 10 minutes to maybe 7 minutes for something that was overfired. I might change it to 12 minutes for something that was underfired. You don't want to be drastic in your changes, just make small adjustments and then fire again and see what the results are. Once you get the results exactly the way you want them, then you're perfect. You're ready to continue and do moving forward, get those results every single time. Now, how do you get those results consistently? You take notes and you take before and after pictures, because that way you will know, you can go back and look at those notes and say, hey, this is slightly overfired, what happened? Then you want to change those things in the next firing. So take notes. Also, before and after pictures are extremely helpful. Plus, if you want to repeat, say you love this project exactly the way it came out, you want to repeat it and do the exact same thing again, you're ready. You've already got all that information. Now let's talk about a slump. Let's move this out of the way. All right, a slump. A successful slump is when the glass project comes in contact with the mold and kisses the mold in such a way that it rests on it, but it doesn't sag. It retains its size and shape and all that. So this is putting this in the mold so you can see how it fits so nicely. We've got a nice dip here. When we take it out of the mold, it sits on the table really nicely, nice and flat. It doesn't wobble. So the characteristics of a good slump is something that comes in contact with the mold, and you retain your size and shape and the height of your corners. In this case, corners. In the case of something round, your side walls. Really important for a sink. You want to retain that height because that height is what keeps the water inside the sink. It's also important for something like this because it adds to the professionalism of your project and the quality of the visual appearance and the presentation. So, under fired, this would not come in contact with the bottom of the mold, and it would probably wobble on the table. So that's not great. The fix for that, refire it again a little bit hotter or hold it a little bit longer. Like I mentioned earlier in the full fuse, either take it 5 degrees hotter or hold it another 3 to 5 minutes longer. Now some molds, if they have a lot of texture, like say I had this one with a fish pattern, it had all these little scales in it. In order to pull and retain and for the glass to pick up that texture, I had to slump those a little bit hotter and hold them a little bit longer to really pull that look into the bottom of the art. So sometimes your mold may be a little different. If you're slumping into something that looks like a dinner plate, that might need less time and less temperature because it's so shallow. Some of these really deep, you have to probably practice with. Something deep can be tricky because you can start to lose the height of your sidewalls. Okay, something that's over slumped. When we put it in the mold, we would start to lose, this is a little slippery here, we would lose this height here. These pieces would start to sag and sink in. When that happens, the artwork here becomes a little bit thicker. So it's not really the most attractive look. Plus, all these beautiful lines, this nice line quality would start to distort when that glass sags. So over slumping, to identify that, your sides would be shallower or starting to sink in. You'd lose your size and shape. Let's measure this thing. This is a 6-inch mold, and this project is, well, I guess it's 6.5 inch. Let's see what this mold is. The mold is 6.5 inch. Okay, so it's a 6.5 inch square. So we still have our 6.5 inch square. You can see that right there. Oh gosh, let me turn this around. I'm like a contortionist here. All right, I'll hold this here. Okay, there we go. You can still see we still have our 6.5 inch width. We have it in this direction as well. Okay, there we go. See that? Okay, so that's something you could do to identify if it's over slumped, is measure your project. You know what size it was when you started because you maybe worked from a pattern, maybe you worked with the mold. So over slumped, we would start to lose that size and shape. We would lose our beautiful line quality, and the glass would start to become thicker in the middle, puddle in the middle. It's not good for anything. It's not good for the art. It's not good for the mold to go that hot. Not good for your artwork. It's not going to look great. So keep that in mind. And so again, the target temperature for slumping for 96 is 1265. I had to think about that for a second. And so if I had under slumped, I might go to 1270. If I was over slumped, I might go to 1260. I would probably still hold for 10 minutes on each of those. But then if I had something with a lot of texture, I would go to 1265 and I might hold 15 minutes instead of 10 minutes. Most of my holds are 10. So that's how you would make adjustments to try to improve the look of your piece. Now that's again why taking notes is so important, because if you are working with something with a lot of texture in the mold and you take notes, next time you slump something into that, you'll know, oh, I need to hold that 15 minutes, not 10. Or next time you slump one of these just plain simple pieces, it's fun, fast, easy to make, and just jolly looking. I mean, just cheerful. I mean, just like candy. Made that up. Then you'll know, all right, I can put that in the mold, 1265, 10 minutes. I'm going to have the perfect results every time. All right, so that's that one. So we've talked about full fuse and slump. Now let's talk about tack. Tack is so fun. So tack fuse, I have these two examples. These are two lanterns from my luminescence video. And what makes these different is these pieces are tacked side by side. So the project is held together because these pieces of glass come in contact with each other. If you look inside there, you can see Am I holding this in such a way that you can see it? Okay. You can see that the pieces are laying side by side. The reason they stick together is because they're in contact with each other on the kiln shelf, and then the heat causes them to expand a little bit and stick. This one is done a little differently. This one, the project pieces are laid on top of each other. Some are underneath, some are on top, some are in the middle, and where they come in contact, they stick together from the heat, from being tack fused together, and so they create a nice structurally sound piece of art. So if you're making this project, and so these are both examples of good tack fuse temperature. For 96, this is 1365 for both of these. These again are laid side by side on the kiln shelf. I draw a pencil line for both of these, with indicating the size and shape of the side that I want for the lantern. Then I build my project, my pieces of glass, I lay them out inside that pencil line. Once I've done that, then I take it to a tack fuse. Then the four sides are ground, so they have a nice edge quality, and then they're glued together. When I glue them together, I glue them around a base piece of glass that's there on the bottom. And I put a piece of styrofoam, like 1-inch thick styrofoam, inside the lantern to keep the sides from falling in on themselves while the glue is drying. But what makes this temperature so important is that I made this project using a firing guide that a kiln of mine came with. And it wasn't 1365, it was like, it might have been something like 1265. And the pieces did not stick together. There was not enough contact and enough heat to make them sturdy and strong, and the artwork fell apart in my hands. Fortunately, nothing broke, and I was able to put it back together, look at the manufacturer's guidelines for that kiln and say, oh, this temperature is not quite right. I need to put my own temperature in there, refire it, and then get the results that I want. So, 1365 for 96. The pieces will grow slightly and stick together. There's enough heat that when they stick together, you'll make a sound, strong project. This one, when the pieces are laid out in such a way that they're overlapping, what you get is a really nice, strong, sturdy, again, durable project. The other characteristics of a nice tack fuse is you have, the glass is no longer sharp. You know, it doesn't have that edge quality to it anymore. It's a little bit rounded. It's a little softer on both of these. You've got really beautiful contact with the pieces, whether they're side by side or on top of each other. And you just have really beautiful, the edge quality is just really, really nice. So under tacked, you'd have sharper edges, and maybe it wouldn't be enough for the glass to actually stick together for this type of technique. So there you would want to go, if that happened, you'd want to refire hotter. Over tacked, in this situation, you would really start to lose your detail, and you'd start to lose the definition of these pieces, and you wouldn't have that real little kind of rock, river rock look where you have these individual pieces. We would start to lose some of this small detail in between. And instead of this being a nice oval shape, it would start to become sort of a blob. On this one, we would lose some of these nice little square pockets and openings. And the piece, so we'd lose this nice detail, which I like, that peekaboo effect, which I really love about this project. These nice square tabs or fringe would start to shrink in and disappear at a hotter temperature, so that would not be great. So both of these are fired at the same temperature for tack fuse. Again, if your tack fuse is underdone, you have the option to refire a little bit hotter, and no big deal. That's fine. You just lose another fire in another day because you're running your kiln again. Overfired, you're going to start losing a lot of your detail that you worked hard to create. So in that case, either you take it for what it is and just, keep it, but make notes and do it differently next time, or, make a piece of yard art out of it, put it on a stick or something, put it in the yard, make a bird, well, obviously this is not going to make a bird bath, is it? Bird water's going to flow right through there. Make something for it, make it just something decorative in the yard, hang it from a string, put it in a tree, put it on a stick, whatever. And redo the project at a lower temperature. So those are your options. All right, so we've got full fuse, slump, tack, options for you for different design possibilities, options for different methods of assembly. Now, there might be a time when over slump, over fire, over tack is what you're looking for. And that's absolutely fine because you are the artist. You can make that determination and that choice if you want to. What I'm trying to give you is information and knowledge so that when you do make that decision, it's purposefully, not by accident. I want you to have purpose and control over your firing, because we all love, it's time, effort, money, and expense, time expense, actual expense. You want to have the best results possible. So I'm hopeful that this helps you with that and identifying those. And maybe you've been overfiring all along but didn't even know it. Maybe you've been underfiring all along but didn't know how to, what that looked like or how to remedy that. But now you do. Okay. All right, thanks so much for joining me. Please follow, like, subscribe, all the above. We love it when you share. We love it when you have comments. We really appreciate those very much. So thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. And if you're not already a subscriber, do it. Do it. Then you'll get notification of all my new videos when they come out. Also, become a premium video member. We would love to have you. We have new courses coming out all the time. Every course has a full-length step-by-step video showing you how to build the project. There's material list. There's an ebook that has the full-size pattern. It has everything you need. It has images, everything you need to complete those projects successfully. So become a premium video member today. We would love for you to become a member. We would love you to join us in this fun journey that we're taking here, building these videos. And until next time, happy video and happy fusing.